Hey, let's talk some fun facts today. Did you know that the most expensive record of all time belonged to the Wu-Tang Clan? It actually surpassed the Beatles. Can you believe it? Once Upon a Time in Shaolin actually sold in 2015 to Turing Pharmaceuticals owner Martin Shkreli. That's how you say his name, I think. Most expensive album. Interesting. Let's talk about it. So Martin was known online as Pharma Bro. He was a former hedge fund manager, and he was a convicted felon. Securities and investment fraud.
The Supreme Court has denied Martin Shkreli's request to hear an appeal of
Shkreli, a.k.a. the Pharma Bro, is in federal prison for committing securities fraud.
Interesting that big Pharma Bro, Martin, was convicted of securities and investment fraud.
Whether he's committing securities fraud or trolling people on the internet, Shkreli doesn't think he has to answer to anybody, especially us.
So the album was recorded in secret, and there was only one copy of the record. And in the contract, they stipulated that they couldn't sell it, they couldn't attempt to make money off of it for 100 years. But they were allowed to release the album for free if they wanted to. What's really cool on this is that to prove this fact that it was the first and only, it has the serial number of 00000001. So Martin actually faced a lot of criticism because back in 2015, there was a medication called daraprim that he actually increased the cost of. He increased the cost by, 5,456%. It was some crazy number. Now, I can't help but notice with the products that he had. Turing Pharmaceuticals marketed two products. Daraprim for toxoplasmosis. Toxoplasmosis, as we know, is in cats, and it's part of MK Ultra programming. But we can come back to that in another video. Interesting. And Vecamil, which was a treatment for hypertension. So it's very interesting.
That means after that 20-year period, if a drug has a big enough demand, generic versions will come out, everyone starts making it, and the price goes down. But what about drugs that don't have big enough demand? It's not worth going through the 10 to 15 months it would take to get a generic version approved by the FDA. There's not enough people to buy it. So even if the drug isn't protected by a patent, if you buy the rights to it, the fact that it's already approved by the FDA provides a nice little moat that lets you jack up the price really high. And that's exactly what they did. Turing Pharmaceuticals bought daraprim, a drug used to treat toxoplasmosis. And
interestingly also is daraprim is used in conjunction with another medication as a second line of defense for HIV and AIDS treatment. Things that make you go, So another thing that makes you go, is the fact that the name of the company, they named it after Alan Turing, the computer scientist. Now, after the drug price raise, the company's stock actually dropped 10%. So daraprim is used with leucovorin to treat parasite disease. Like I was saying, toxoplasmosis, which comes from cats, which they say can actually be cured with walnut shells. So sure, go ahead and spend this money on this expensive medication that he's like raised the price of by a bazillion, dollars. I was about to say degrees. Same thing. It's also used in conjunction with dapsone, which is a second-line option to prevent a type of pneumonia with people with HIV and AIDS. So it's interesting what this man has control over. I encourage you guys to do your research, take control of your own health, take control of your own mind. Do your research. In these end days, you do not want to be caught unaware, because I'm sorry to tell you, we're living in the book of Revelations, and you don't want to be left behind.
Toxoplasma gondii is a protozoan parasite, and as a parasite, its goal is to reproduce and affect more and more hosts. The only place in the entire world that Toxoplasma can find a mate and sexually reproduce is in the gut of a feline, like a tiger, a lion, or more commonly, a cat.
Have you heard about this parasite that can control your brain? Yeah, sounds totally crazy. It does, doesn't it? Anyway, I gotta go. Catch you later. Take care.
Particularly the brain. And this is where it gets even crazier. Toxoplasma has the ability to rewire the brain and turn fear into desire. The parasite forms cysts, focusing most densely on the amygdala, a region of the brain linked to fear and anxiety. So rodents, whose instinctual behavior is to avoid the scent of cats, aka avoid being eaten, now become sexually attracted to the smell of cat urine. The rodents are then more likely to be eaten by a cat, allowing the parasite to enter the next phase of its life cycle. But the parasite is not only limited to rodents. Toxo has been found in many species and shown to affect their behavior as well. Chimpanzees that are affected have even shown a morbid attraction to leopards. It is estimated that 1 in 3 humans carry Toxoplasma gondii. Once considered strictly latent in the human body, scientists are beginning to question that. Back in prehistoric times, we were prey items of large cats. It is not out of the question that the parasite could induce similar effects in us. Emerging science suggests that Toxoplasma can affect human personality, behavior, and even mental illness. Toxo-infected individuals are shown to be more likely to be involved in car accidents due to reckless driving. Toxo has been linked to an increased likelihood of suicide and neuroticism. Many studies show that people with schizophrenia are more likely to be affected by Toxo. Some science even suggests that behavioral alterations from the parasite at a population scale can influence cultural differences between nations. Toxoplasma can also harmfully affect those with compromised immune systems, which is why bags of kitty litter warn pregnant women to avoid contact, as it can be extremely dangerous to the fetus. Though a typical cat
outside of themselves, and the people in those kind of circles, they do all this degradation and blood drinking and animal eating and sacrifice to allow their body to host more parasites so that they can be a radio antennas for demons. Because there's a lot of evidence, or not evidence, but from what I've read, parasites are like a radio antenna to the demonic entities in counter space or the astral plane or hell, whatever you call it. So the more demon-infested people are, the higher up they go. That way, when they get to the full, degrees where they realize that a lot of this stuff is being run by Satan or Lucifer or whatever you want to call it, they're completely mind controlled and programmed through these parasites, because it's a hive mind mentality.